Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to all of you. I am your math teacher from Ismailia Youth Services Schools, and today we are going to learn demonstrative geometry. This is chapter number 12 and comprised on theorems. The theorem which we are going to discuss today is theorem number 1, 2 and 3. They are on the page number 292, 293, 299, 300 and 302, 303 in your textbooks respectively. Before starting the lesson, let me give you some instructions first. Don't raise hand during teaching. Ask questions at the end of the teaching. Use hands-free if you are using mobile and headphone for the computer use. Feed your ID and passwords properly with your name and class. Take care of time for attending the class. Home task should be done in your fair copy of the subject. And if there is any disconnectivity during the teaching, try to join again within 5 to 10 minutes. So today we are going to learn theorems. So in order to do so, let me tell you the definition of the theorems first. Theorem is basically a general proposition, not self-evident but proved by a chain of reasoning, a truth established by means of accepted truths. What does it mean? It means that theorems are basically fundamental agreements which we have to prove by deducing. So there are 6 steps or parts of proof. To prove a theorem, the first part is general enunciation. The second one is figure or diagram, then given or data, required to prove, then construction, and the proof itself. These are the 6 steps through which we describe any theorem or prove any theorem. General enunciation is comprised of 2 things, hypothesis and conclusion, which I will discuss you later on when we will discuss a theorem. Then the diagram or a figure comes, then given and data, what has been given in the general enunciation and what data we can formulate through it. Then what is the required to prove and construction, which we construct ourselves to help to prove a theorem. You have already been studied these terms in your classes. So we are going towards the theorem number 1 now. The theorem number 1 is if 2 lines intersect, the vertically opposite angles so formed are congruent. It is the general enunciation of theorem number 1. If 2 lines intersect, this is the hypothesis, then the vertically opposite angles so formed are congruent is its conclusion. Then we come towards the diagram or a figure. So what was the statement? The statement of the theorem was if 2 lines intersect. So on the basis of that statement, we are going to draw a figure. This is line number 1 and this is line number 2. We have named the lines by AB and PQ. So 2 lines. Now we can say AB and PQ intersecting with each other at point O. So the angles so formed are vertically opposite angles and they are congruent to each other. So these are the vertically opposite angle POA and BOQ and POB and AOQ. Both the pairs are vertically opposite angles, so they are congruent by the statement. Now what we have to do? We have to prove it. First, the given thing was 2 lines. What were the lines? AB and PQ, we have named them, and they are intersecting at point O. What we have to prove? We have to prove that vertically opposite angle. The first angle was POB and the second one was AOQ. So they both were vertically opposite and the theorem says that they both are congruent to each other. So this is what we have to prove. And there were another pair of the vertically opposite angle which was AOP and BOQ. So this pair of vertically opposite angle is also congruent. We have to prove that as well. Before Moving towards the actual proof, let me tell you some of the terms which will help you to prove the theorem. The first term is supplement postulate. What is the supplement postulate? The supplement postulate states that if two angles form a linear pair, then they are supplementary. What does it mean? For example, in the figure, angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary by the supplement postulate. It means that this is angle number 1 and this is angle number 2. So they both are on a line or they are both forming a linear pair. So if this is the situation, it means that they both are supplementary angles. And you are already aware that supplementary angles are equals to 180 degrees. So wherever there are two angles which are on a linear pair, so they make supplementary angles which are equals to 180 degrees. So this thing you have to keep in mind while we will prove the theorem number 1. Another tricky term is transitive property of equality. It will also help you in the proving of the theorem. What is transitive property of equality? It states that if one value A is equal to another value B, which is equal to another value C, then the first value A is equal to the third value C. What does it mean? It means that if A is equals to B and B is equals to C, so it means that both A and C are also equals to each other. Now moving towards the proof, there are things like statement and reasons through which we prove a theorem. This is the figure to help you out. What are the statements? Statement number 1 says that angle POB and AOP, they both are on a line, they both are making a linear pair. So it means that AOP and POB are angles which are supplementary. What is the reason tells over here? Non-common arms AO and OB of adjacent angles are collinear, right? So AOP and POB are collinear on a same line. So through the supplement postulate which we have discussed before, they both are supplementary angle, and you are already aware that supplementary angles are equals to 180 degrees. So the both angles POB and AOP sum up to form 180 degrees. Similarly, statement number 2 says that angle AOP and AOQ. So this is the line on which their both angles are located. So they both are equals to 180 degrees. What is the reason? Non-common arms OP and OQ of adjacent angles are collinear. Supplement postulate. So through the supplement postulate, we can see that AOP and AOQ are collinear. So the non-common arms PO and OQ would be a line, and this line would be equals to 180 degrees. So it means that both the angles are equals to 180 degrees through the supplement postulate. Now moving towards point number 3, it says that angle POB, this is angle POB, plus angle AOP, this is angle AOP. So it was equals to 180 degrees, and AOP plus AOQ, here you can say it is also equals to 180 degrees. So wherever there are two things which are equal to each other, which are equal to the third point, so it means that the first thing and the third thing are also equal through the transitive property. So what we have studied in the transitive property, that if A is equals to B and B is equals to C, so A and B both are also equals. So this whole sum is equals to 180 degree. The sum of these angles is also equals to 180 degrees. So it means that both are equal quantities. So angle POB plus angle AOP is equals to angle AOP plus angle AOQ. Now here you have to keep in mind that we are talking about angle AOP on the right side of equals to sign and after the equals to sign as well. And there are two angles POB and AOQ. after that. Now moving towards the statement number 4. What does statement number 4 says? Statement number 4 says that angle POB is equals to angle AOQ. How come is that possible? We have cancelled AOP from both sides. I have told you in previous slide that there is angle AOP is both on the right and the left side. So what we have done, we have cancelled angle AOP and from the left and the right side. So we are only left with angle POB plus angle AOQ. Now you can say that if they are equals to each other, it means they are also congruent to each other, because in geometry we use the word congruent if we talk about the angles or the lines. So if their measurement is equal to 180 degrees, so they were equal, and then we have cancelled AOP, so they are equal to each other now. So it means that if their measure is equal, so it means they are also congruent. So that's why angle POB is congruent to AOQ. So what is this? This is the proof we have to, this is the required thing which we had to prove. We had to prove that angle POB is congruent to angle AOQ. POB is congruent to AOQ. It means that these are both vertically opposite angles, and now we have proved that by the help of the theorem, that statements and the reasons, that we have proved that these vertically opposite angles are congruent to each other. Similarly, we can also prove that angle AOP is congruent to BOQ by the above process. The whole process which we have done to prove these two vertically opposite angles, we can also do the whole process on these two as well to make to prove that they are both congruent to each other. So this was theorem number 1, and we have proved it. Now moving towards theorem number 2. The theorem number 2 says that if a side of a triangle is extended, a triangle is there and a side has been extended, so the exterior angle so formed is in measure greater than either of the two interior opposite angles. What does it mean? It means that there is a triangle, one side has been extended, and the angle which has been formed outside of the triangle is greater than its interior opposite angles. Let us discuss it with the help of the figure. So this is the figure. There was a triangle. We have named this triangle as ABC, and a side of a triangle has been extended towards E. So what it says, the theorem says that this angle ACE, which is the exterior angle, is greater than the interior angle, which is A, and B, interior and opposite angle. So these are angle A and angle B. So these are two angles which are smaller than angle ACE, or you can say angle ACE, which is the exterior angle, is greater than the angle A and angle B. So to prove it, we have constructed some things. What we have constructed over here, we have constructed a line. What type of line is that? We have took a point O between A and C. It means that we have cut A and C into two parts, and we have draw a line BO and extend it towards D. It means that we have created AC as AO plus OC. These are the two equal parts we have made. Then we have joined this D with C. So it means that angle, the line BO is congruent to OD. We have constructed it in such a manner. And AO is congruent to OC. So this is the figure. Now moving towards the given. So what is given in the theorem? The statement says that there is a triangle and a side of a triangle has been extended. So we have made through the figure the triangle ABC and extend its side towards E. So the exterior angles formed is called as angle ACE. And the opposite angles of ACE is angle A and angle B. So they both are smaller than angle ACE, which is the exterior angle. This is what we have to prove. And the construction which we have made is, we took the midpoint of AC, right? And then draw BO and cut off OD congruent to BO, and then we have joined D to C, which we have discussed earlier. Now we are going to prove it. There are some statements through which we can prove this theorem. In the statement number 1, we are talking about triangle AOB. Where is AOB? This is triangle AOB. Then triangle COD. This is triangle COD. What we have to do, we have to compare these triangles. Now, AO is congruent to CO. AO is over here and CO is over here. So they both are congruent to each other. How? Because we have constructed it in such a manner. We have took the midpoint of AC and then we have constructed BO. So it means that we have cut down AC into two parts, which is AO and OC, and they both are congruent to each other. Then angle AOB. This is angle AOB and this is angle COD. So these two angles are also congruent to each other. How come is that possible? It has been proved by the vertical angles of theorem number 1. In theorem number 1, we have learned that vertically opposite angles so formed after the intersection of two lines are congruent to each other. So it means that they both angles are congruent. Then BO is congruent to DO. This is line BO and this is line DO. So they are also congruent. How come? Because we have constructed it in such a manner. It means that we are comparing triangle AOB and OCD, where the two sides and the angles are and one angle are congruent to each other. So it means that both the triangles AOB and COD are also congruent to each other. How come is that possible? Through the postulate, which is SAS postulate. What does SAS postulate means? It means side angle side. Whenever there are two sides and an angle of two triangles are congruent to each other, it means that whole triangles are congruent to each other. So there are two sides AOOC and BOOD are congruent through the construction, and angle AOB and angle AOCOD are also congruent through the vertical angles. So it means that two sides and one angle of these triangles are congruent to each other. It means that both the triangles are congruent to each other. Now, if both the triangles are congruent to each other, so their corresponding sides and corresponding angles are also congruent. So the corresponding angle of triangle AOB is A to C. So A and C are congruent to each other. But here is written OCD. So we are talking about this triangle. So we will write OCD. So angle A from the interior one and OCD are also congruent. Now moving towards the other statements. Statement number 4 says that ACE is equals to OCD. Where is the measurement of ACE? ACE is equals to OCD plus measurement of angle DCE. What does it mean? It means that this is the exterior angle, which is ACE, and ACE has been divided through this line, which is CD. So the angles OCD and DCE, the summation of these both angles would be equals to ACE. This is possible through the angle addition postulate. So what does it mean? It means that ACE is greater than OCD. Why? Because whole is greater than its parts. So this is the whole angle and we have divided it into two parts, which is OCD and DCE. So in this manner, the whole thing ACE would be greater than OCD because it is the part, or it is only the part, and it is what we are talking about as a whole. So it means that whole thing is greater than its part. So AC is greater than OCD. But wait, what we have proved earlier? We have proved that angle ACE, angle OCD and angle A were equal to each other. We have proved it in the previous slide that angle A is equals to angle C. So if angle ACE is greater than OCD, it means it would also be greater than angle A because they both are with an equal measure. So similarly, we have proved that if angle ACE is greater than angle A, so by the above process, we can also prove that ACE is also greater than angle B. It means that we have proved the statement which says that the exterior angle is formed is greater than the opposite but interior angles of the triangle. So this was the theorem number 2 which we have proved. Now moving towards theorem number 3. The theorem number 3 says if a transversal intersects two coplanar lines such that the pair of alternate angles are congruent, then the lines are parallel. To discuss and prove this theorem, first we have to understand some of the terms. The first term is transversal. What is a transversal? A line that intersects two or more lines in a plane at different points is called a transversal. So suppose line N and M are two lines and it has been intersected by line L through on two different points. So this is two lines on a plane. This is a line which is intersecting these both lines on 2 points. So it means that it is a transversal to these lines. So what does it say? When a transversal I intersects lines N and M, 8 angles of the following types are formed. So whenever a transversal intersects line N and M, these are the angles which are formed. Exterior angles, you are already aware of the term, the exterior angle is outside angles. Interior angles, consecutive exterior angles, consecutive interior angles, alternate exterior angles, alternate interior angles, and corresponding angles. You are already aware of these terms which you have been studying from class 6. Now we are moving towards the coplanar lines. What is coplanar lines? In that, coplanar lines means lines belonging to the same plane are called coplanar lines. So this is a plane and there are 3 lines over here and these are all the lines are on a same plane, so it would be termed as coplanar lines. So in this slide we can see that line N and M are coplanar lines and this transversal is intersecting in at those 2 lines and these 8 types of angles are getting formed by this. What is parallel line? Parallel lines stay the same distance apart and never cross. It means that a line A and a line B, they are 2 lines and they are at a same distance and from each other and they won't cross each other or intersect each other at any part. This is called as parallel lines. Now what was the theorem? The theorem says that if a transversal intersects two coplanar lines, so you are already aware what are coplanar lines, you are also aware of the term transversal. So if there are two coplanar lines and a transversal is intersecting these lines, so such that the pair of alternate angles, so alternate angles are congruent, so the lines are parallel. So whenever there are two lines, we don't know whether they are parallel or not, but if a line is a transversal is intersecting and the alternate angles are getting formed, so if they are congruent to each other, so the lines are parallel. If they are not congruent to each other, it means they are not parallel. Let us discuss it with the help of figures. For example, This is figure number 1 and figure number 2. So assume figure number 1 that there are two lines AB and CD. So what type of lines are these? There is a transversal over here and it is getting intersected by these lines and two alternate angles. Angle number 1 and 2 are alternate angles. So what does the theorem says? It says that both the angles are congruent to each other. It means that the lines are parallel. They will never intersect. In figure number 2, you can see that these lines are getting intersected with each other, and so it means that both the alternate angles, angle number 1 and 2, if they are congruent, suppose that they are congruent, so it means that it won't be a parallel lines. But this is what we have to prove for theorem number 3. So what was given in the figure? In the figure, we have been provided that line AB and CD are two coplanar lines, right? And EF was a transversal which cuts these coplanar lines at some points which are P and Q, such that angle 1 and angle 2 are congruent to each other, which are pair of alternate angles. But we have to prove that angle AB is parallel to CD. So wherever there are both the angles, alternate angles congruent to each other, it must be that both the lines are parallel to each other. So we are going to prove that. If AB and CD are not parallel, what we are supposing over here, we are supposing that if the lines that are getting formed on a coplanar, they are not parallel. Suppose that they will meet at point which is called as R, and PQR will be a triangle, right? So PQR is a triangle because the above line is getting intersected with the previous line at some point which is R. So this is our supposition. So the statement says that in triangle PQR, angle 1 is exterior. You are already aware of the fact. And angle 2 is interior opposite angle. So this is a triangle. The exterior angle is 1 and the interior opposite angle is 2 by the definition. So angle 1 is greater than angle 2. How do we know that? With the help of theorem number 2. So what was the theorem number 2? That whenever there is a triangle and its one side is extended, so the exterior angle so formed is greater than the interior and opposite angles. So this is the interior and opposite angle of angle 1 and this is the exterior angle. So it means that angle 1 is greater than angle 2. But angle 1 is equals to angle 2, which is given by, because the theorem says that two vertically opposite angles are congruent. So now moving forward, statements 2 and 3 cannot be true simultaneously. What does it mean? It means that if we say that there is two lines on a which are coplanar and they are not getting intersected at any points, it means that there is no triangle which is getting formed. But in this figure we have supposed a controversy. The controversy says that the lines are getting intersected at some point. So if the lines are getting intersected at some points, so there will be a triangle which would be made. So through this figure we can say that PQR is a triangle which is getting formed and this triangle has an angle which is angle number 2. This is interior but opposite angle of angle number 1. Angle number 1 is the exterior angle. So this angle number 2 is smaller than the exterior angle through the theorem number 1. Theorem number 2. The theorem number 2 says that exterior angle so formed is greater than the opposite interior angle of a triangle. So it means that the angle 1 is must be greater than angle 2 from the theorem number 2. But the theorem number 3 says that both the angles are congruent to each other, which is angle number 1 and angle number 2. So angle number 1 is congruent to angle number 2. It was given into the theorem. So if they both are congruent to each other by the theorem, and they are greater and less with the help of the diagram or the theorem, the proof which we are getting over here, so they both statement cannot be true. Why? Through the trichotomy property of order relation. What is the trichotomy property? Trichotomy property says that for any two real numbers x and y, exactly one of these statements is true. What is the statement? That x is greater than y, x is equals to y, x is less than y. What does it mean? It means that whenever we are talking about two real numbers, either the first thing is greater than the second one, or the smaller than the second one, or equals to the second one. So assume that x is 3 and y is 2. So 3 is greater than 2, but 3 cannot be equals to 2. 3 cannot be less than 2. So it means that whenever there are two numbers, two real numbers, which we are having discussions over here, so what we can assume that only one property, one inequality, equality, or the less than sign would be applicable. For example, if we suppose two numbers x is as 4 and y as 5. So 4 is greater than 5. It is not possible, so this is wrong. 4 is equals to 5. This is also wrong. And 4 is less than 5. This is correct. So if there are two real numbers, only one of the statement can be true. If we suppose any number which is equals to the other one, for example 5, and the other one is 5 as well. So 5 cannot be greater than y. It is wrong. 5 can be equals to 5. This is true. So 5 is not smaller than 5. This is wrong as well. So it means that wherever there are two real numbers, only one of the statements can be true. So into the previous slide, which we have discussed that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. It was given, and through our proof we have come to the fact that angle 1 is greater than angle 2. So they both cannot be true at the same time. Hence, measurement of angle 1 is less than the measurement of angle 2 is true. Why? Because because it has been given in the theorem. So our assumption is wrong. We have assumed that they both are getting intersected with each other. If they would get intersect with each other, a triangle will form. And if a triangle will form, it means that the both in alternate angles are not equals to each other. And if the both alternate angles are not equals to each other, so it would be not a parallel line. So in the case of the theorem, both the angles, angle 1 and angle 2 is equals to each other. So AB and CD do not intersect with each other. So both the lines which we were which we were having are not intersecting with each other. If they do not intersect with each other at any point, it means that the lines AB and CD are parallel lines and they do not intersect. So we had to prove that AB is parallel to CD, which we have proved through the given reasons and statements. Now what is the home task? What you have to do? You have to learn and practice the theorems. Theorem number 1, 2 and 3. That's all for today. Allah Hafiz.